Hey, it's Edna White, and this is Keeping It Real on Purpose, where we talk truth, transformation, and how to live in alignment with your purpose and your paper. You know how people say, if it was mine, I'd know. Well, what if you got money with your name on it and you had no clue it even exists? Tonight, I'm talking with Dana Williams, founder of Dynasty Asset Recovery Services. And trust me, she's about to blow your mind. We're digging into unclaimed money, why it's not a scam, and how you could be sitting on hundreds or even thousands of forgotten dollars right now. So grab your pen, go with us all the way to the end because I believe she has some special giveaway for you, and get ready to reclaim what's already yours. Welcome to the show, Dana.
Thank you so much.
All right, so tell us how you show up in the world because we already know a little bit, but tell us anyway.
Okay, sure. So I'm Dana Williams. I'm the owner of Dynasty Asset Recovery Services, and that company basically finds unclaimed funds for people and help to reunite the funds with the people, basically.
Right,
So there are databases, and people would be absolutely shocked if they knew the truth about unclaimed funds because there are funds available at
right.
every government level, you know.
Wow.
And so I was shocked when I actually found out myself. So
Oh, that's nice. Cool.
I'm
Okay,
happy to be here and happy to bring awareness to it.
that's awesome. So let's keep it real. Why don't people know the government has their money?
Because the government isn't going to they don't advertise. Every now and then you'll see a spot on the news where they're advising you to go and check your name on the state website, but the truth is people have money at more than just the state level.
Hmm. Hmm.
The state is the most common because most people have utilities, they have
Right.
checks that from their employers, they have insurance policies, maybe they have been the beneficiary of. So usually the money, the missing the unclaimed money is at the state level, but people just, I don't know, they think it's a scam.
Really?
Is the response that I get. Yeah,
Right, right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the most outrageous or emotional recovery you've helped somebody claim?
I found $30,000 for a young
Mm.
lady, and I shouldn't say a young lady because this woman was in her 90s,
Oh,
in
wow.
her 90s,
Wow.
and she at this particular point she had she had a retirement fund, and the
Hmm.
company that was holding her funds had went bankrupt. And so the bankruptcy court had awarded all the people that were due funds back, money back.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of times people move, and I think it's the most common thing is that people move. And so the company or the court, they only can send it to the last known address, the address
Right.
that they have on file.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. So this woman didn't have an updated address on file, and so they couldn't find her. So I located her,
Mm.
and I was able to reunite her with her money. Of course,
Wow.
with the bankruptcy, it's only a fraction of the money that she had actually lost, but she was
Hmm.
glad to get that $30,000 back.
Right. Of course. Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
versus zero.
Yes. Versus zero. Versus.
Yeah.
So let me ask because I know you said there's more than several levels. What do you mean
Mhm.
by that? Like how different levels of money being held for you?
Yeah, so there's money at the city level, there's money
Hmm.
at the state level, which I already
Hmm.
mentioned, there's
Yeah.
money at the county level,
Okay.
there's money at the federal level, and the federal government has different branches. So
Oh,
there's money out there on every government level. Yeah,
wow.
a lot of times as far as city, maybe there's a business owner who
Hmm.
or a vendor, who did work as a contractor for the city,
Okay.
and by the time the city pays them, that business owner has moved to a different location. So they
Yeah.
send out the check, the city sends out the check, and then the business owner isn't there. But one of the things I find very common is that people, when they move, they don't
Mhm.
go to the post office and change their address. So that's one of the biggest problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Biggest. Okay,
So
so here's another a good question because I was thinking about this as you talking. So how do you navigate the stigma that recovery services are too good to be true?
too good to be true. Yeah, a lot of people think that, it's a scam. They hear unclaimed money. Some people call it free money, but it's not free money if it's your money.
Right.
It's owed to you. It's not
Right.
free money. It's money that's owed to you. And so I think that a lot of times people, you know how they say one bad apple ruins the
Hmm.
bunch.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
times people get in this particular industry and they start, taking advantage of people. And I think that those bad apples, so to speak, ruin
Yeah.
it
Got
for,
that right.
people that's actually honest and trying to do good for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so the way that I, overcome that is I talk to people, and then usually when I'm able to talk to them, they can tell that, I'm not somebody that's trying to scam them,
Hmm.
because I come off pretty genuine, and
Right.
so I think that's one of the biggest factors.
Right.
A lot of times, just explaining why, it's not a scam. Um, the resources that we use as professionals in the business, we
Hmm.
have like account numbers, we have previous addresses, we have all that background information.
Right.
A scammer
Right.
is not going to necessarily have all that, so
Right.
I'm able to prove it with the data, and then with just my personality, and I'm able to overcome a lot
Yeah.
of the pushback like
Yes.
that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So walk us through a client contacting you and walk us through that process.
Okay, so in my business, what I do is I locate the money first and then
Hmm.
locate the people. So, as
Gotcha.
you can imagine, if I just open the floodgates and say that I'm finding money, I'll help people find money, then everybody's going to come
Right.
along, and I'm just one person.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
don't
this
have,
is going to open floodgates. I'm telling you right
yeah,
now. I was like,
yeah.
oh my.
So what I do is I have databases that I go to. I find the money, and I look up cases that I feel is worth my
Yeah.
while. Basically, I have a threshold of a few $1,000s and
Right.
up. Because
Right.
sometimes people have they may have a few $100s, but by the time I go into it and
Right.
actually work the
Understood.
claim, it's just not worth it
Yeah.
financially. I am in business, so
Absolutely.
you have to think about it from that perspective as
Perspective.
well. But
You have to make your
yeah, I'm
money.
kind of
You
in a
have to make your
transition
money.
though with my business, and I'm glad that you reached out to me because it kind of kicked up my transition a notch, because
Okay.
what I'm wanting to do is educate the public more and be
Right.
more of an educational platform. And
Right.
I think that'll be able to help people be more aware of
Right.
unclaimed funds, how it
Right.
works, and decide if they want to go pursue their own money by
Mhm.
themselves, or if they need some additional help.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So you know that I'm a life purpose coach, and I help people from the mind up. Always about getting their mind clear, change their narrative. What?
Hmm.
How does unclaimed money tie into generational wealth, and what happens when people never find out it's there?
Well, if people don't find out it's there, then
Mhm.
it just stays with stays within the system.
Right.
And different municipalities have different rules. Like every county, like the county I'm in,
Hmm.
is going to be different from the county that you're in. They're going to have
Right.
different laws and
Right.
methods on how how you file the claim, how
Right.
long you have until you can file the claim, because sometimes some of these municipalities, they get to
Hmm.
keep it, get to keep the money after so long. That
Wow. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a lot to it, but basically every municipality is different, and you have to
Right.
go into that particular county or state or federal agency's website
Mm-hmm.
see what their claims process is, and
Right.
then but getting back to your question, I'm sorry, I'm going in a different direction,
That's
but going
okay.
going back to your question about generational wealth,
Yeah.
a lot of times the people put their relatives um, as beneficiaries on their life insurance, and
Right.
a lot of times people just don't know, and so this after a while that it's unclaimed with the insurance company, then it has to be reported to the state, and that money moved over to the state. And
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, then it's up to the heirs to go and file a claim for the money. And
Right.
if they don't know, then that's just money that's with the state, and it's just going to stay there dormant until somebody claims it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But what's good about it though is that heirs are able to claim money.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So
That's really
yeah,
good.
you just have to have the proof, of course.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish every person knew about state held funds and why they should check it out today?
Well, because it changes every year.
Mm-hmm.
The states have to, well, the private companies have to report to the state. So it's not
Right.
just that you check your name one time. You should check your
Oh.
name every year. Yeah,
Ooh.
because it's ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that
that's
sounds
one
good.
of the things I would
Okay.
say check regularly. Check it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there a deadline or a risk of losing funds forever if people don't act? Is there a
Sometimes,
deadline to it? What is?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Going back to every municipality is different.
Okay.
Say for instance, I know for sure that California, they have where sometimes people lose their homes due to foreclosure.
Right. Okay.
You still there?
Yes, I'm still
Okay.
here. I'm still here.
Okay. So okay. Okay, great. So some people lose their home to foreclosure, and that's one of the largest source of funds. People that lose their homes in foreclosure, they don't
Mm,
know that if their home sells at the auction for over the amount that they're due, that's owed, then that money goes back to the original homeowner. And that's
mm.
yeah. I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars
Wow.
just just sitting there with these different municipalities just because people don't know that the
Right.
money is owed to them. And so like I was saying about California, they only have 1 year to file a claim.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, just imagine you got hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in California, sitting in the county in California, and
Mm-hmm.
file a claim in a year, you just missed out on all that money. Is going back,
Wow.
going back to the government forever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
How does
it's very
race, how does race, class, or zip code impact who gets access to this information, or does it?
it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't. If
Okay.
it's your money, it's your money, and you have the right to claim it. Yeah, that has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Because I think people have a perception of it's free money, and it's not free money.
Mm.
It's money that's owed to you.
Yeah.
It's like more thinking of it more of a refund. You know, say for instance, my son had worked at a job, and I guess he forgot about his last paycheck because he didn't miss the money, obviously. So I looked on the state, I looked on the state website, found his name, and saw that it was at our
Yeah.
address. So I knew it was him. So I helped him to claim the money. And so it doesn't have anything to do with free money or anything like that. It's your money.
Right. Right.
It's just unclaimed. Yeah. And the state is holding it until you go through the process of claiming it.
Right.
So that's how that works. Yeah.
Okay. So you just talked about a website that you go on. Can you just,
Mhm.
like I know you're in a different state than I am. If you could just give like just the local one that you would, would it be under unclaimed funds? What does that look like?
So every state has their own database,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do a simple Google search. It,
Okay.
that would probably be the easiest way. However, you have to look out for websites that are not government sites. Any
Right.
government site is going to be .gov. So just make sure you're going to a .gov website if you do if you go through a Google search.
Mm-hmm.
So just for instance, I'm in Texas.
Okay.
So I would type in the Google unclaimed funds Texas. And
Mm-hmm.
then you know come to the it would bring up the search results and I would look for a .gov.
Right.
And but I have actually a list of all of the state website unclaimed funds websites on my
Mm-hmm.
web, and that's directly linked in the ebook that I'm giving
Okay.
away.
Okay. Awesome. Have you ever uncovered money for someone who didn't believe you?
Who didn't believe me? Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I actually had a client who I contacted. It was a bankruptcy claim because at one time I specialized in bankruptcy.
Okay.
And so I contacted this guy and he didn't believe me. And
Wow.
so yeah, he didn't believe me, but I told him about it. I told him
Hmm.
about the money, and he went through the process. I guess he just decided to one day go and try to get it on his own. And 2 years later, he called me and let
Wow.
me know. 2 years later,
Wow.
that he got it himself, and he sent me $100 as a thank you.
Wow. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah.
2 years later. Wow.
2 years
Wow.
later.
Wow. Now, is there a different process when it comes to property and versus money?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's two separate agencies.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
Gotcha.
two separate agencies. What my company does is it specializes in looking for missing money. But I think
Gotcha.
if it's property, I think that would be a
Gotcha.
different.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Is there anything else that you think that my audience would like to know about what you do and how you can help them?
Well, I think that it's important to know like the different types of unclaimed funds because
Okay.
people don't they don't know what they don't know basically,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are different types, and it's in my ebook. I'm actually gonna read off the different types.
Okay. That
Because
would be
I
great.
don't yeah, I don't work with all different types of claims, but I do have like
Gotcha.
a general knowledge of
Uh-huh.
the different types of claims.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about, at the city level, we talked about a little bit at the county level, but
Okay.
the most common would be state unclaimed property. You'll find like lost or forgotten about bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Actually found some money for my sister. She had a bank account at a particular bank,
Okay.
and for whatever reason the account was closed and they had a refund for her, and that was at the state level. There's also insurance proceeds. There's also IRS tax refunds, which is of course at the federal
Okay.
level. Sometimes people don't get their IRS refunds, so the
Mm-hmm.
IRS keeps
Okay.
and holds it as unclaimed funds. There's also
Gotcha.
class action lawsuits. By the time the class action lawsuit pays out, maybe that person has moved, and the court can't
Mm-hmm.
find them, so it's going to be unclaimed, you know, due to that reason. We talked a little bit about
Right.
foreclosure. Yeah, we talked a little bit about foreclosure, and that's usually at the county level. And that can be for mortgage foreclosure and also for property
Okay.
tax foreclosure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So,
there's. Oh,
go ahead. You were breaking up a little bit. I just want to make sure you say everything. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, this list that I'm reading from is in the ebook that I'm offering
Right.
free to your audience. So, yeah.
Right.
So there's also bank failures. If a bank closes, then the money is actually transferred.
Oh.
FDIC insured
Oh.
money is transferred to the government, so the bank can hold it, and that's also a source of unclaimed funds. You got pension retirement funds. You got veterans benefits that are sometimes unclaimed as well. So that list is in the ebook. So, and that's free to your audience.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, I'm not getting. Hold on. What's going on here? That's awesome. I'm going to put it in the link for the audience because
Okay.
I have it. And I just wanted you to share a little bit more because you have a wealth of knowledge on all of that. One more,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask one more question. When it comes to divorce and say money is left to you, maybe you got out of the divorce. Does that even exist? Like you got out of the divorce, didn't want to have nothing to do with it, all of a sudden there's money left to you, or is that a thing?
Not that I can think of, right? A
You know
scenario
of?
right now. Yeah, not that I can think
Okay.
of. I mean, unless
Okay.
maybe that person is left as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay, so
yeah,
audience, you heard it all right here. I'm going to be putting the link in the content section of this video so you can get this free guide and get in touch with a beautiful guest here today, Dana, and she can be able to tell you all about how to get this money back because we got to be in our bag, and
right.
there's nothing more uplifting and helps you in your confidence and self-development when you have money and money moves everything. Money moves everything. So we really want you to have that confidence, and she is the person to give it to you because she has all the insight into it. So I want you to be so very excited about this because I know I am. I'm very excited about it. So, Dana, I really I appreciate you for coming and sharing your knowledge and just getting the word out there because it's really so very important to us to have that
Sure.
knowledge to grow.
Yeah, sure.
Okay?
I thank you so much for inviting me. And I also want to
Sure.
mention too, I didn't tell you before now, but
Sure.
I did mention a little bit that I'm trying to get more into educating the public.
Okay.
And so
Yes.
I'm going to be holding a workshop where I go more into detail about these different types of funds and even doing like a screen share where I show how, the process of actually
Right.
claiming some.
Okay. That's
So,
great.
yeah, so anybody who's interested can go to my website and click on workshop and
Okay.
be added to the interest list.
Okay. Awesome. All right. If you've ever said I'm broke, you might not need to double check that bank account because you just might be blessed and don't even know it yet. Big thanks to Dana Williams for keeping it real and helping us reclaim what's rightly ours. If this episode sparked curiosity or cash, or even the interest of the rate and review, please do so today. Just share it, tell somebody about it, and don't forget to grab Dana's free guide and start looking. This is your reminder that what's yours is already waiting. You just got to claim it. Until next time, this is Edna White and my esteemed guest, Dana Williams, saying goodbye for now.
Bye.